Now from financial planning at a grassroots level to a global level. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke gave little away on Friday at his Jackson Hole meeting. Well, Harvard economics professor Richard B. Freeman works closely with the National Bureau of Economic Research, the body that formally defines a recession if it happens in the US. He's also an industrial relations specialist and in Sydney as a guest of the US Study Centre, so there was plenty to talk about. Professor Freeman, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Now, you've arrived here in the thick of a big debate about the demise of manufacturing, and at a macro level, we've had the government and our Reserve Bank pushing the idea that the mining boom will carry us through, and that if manufacturing is somewhat of a casualty, so be it.
Well, that's a peculiar view, I think, because mining will go up and it'll go down, and if you end up with no manufacturing at the end of the process, manufacturing is very hard to bring back, whereas mining you can start, and you can stop, and you can start again.
So at a micro level, even today, there's argument about subsidy for the manufacturing sector, there's argument about tougher industrial relations to actually kickstart the manufacturing sector again. What is needed?
Well, I'd say the thing you don't want to do is tougher industrial relations. That means basically making the average worker poorer in order to spur the manufacturing sector, when indeed you got money pouring into the mining sector. That just strikes me as a bit of insanity.
Well, let's go to the United States and Ben Bernanke's talk on Friday at Jackson Hole, and what he announced, or rather what he didn't announce. He didn't commit to another quantitative easing. He said there'd be a 2-day meeting of the FOMC, but the market seems to have bought it.
Yeah, well, he's the last hope for the Americans that we can stave off a double-dip recession, because he is incredibly professional and honest about things. He's being pressured by politicians. Governor Perry, who may run for the presidency from Texas, denounced him and basically said they'd probably hang him from a tree in Texas. He said it a little more kindly than that. And he's also got opposition inside the Federal Reserve from conservative governors.
I was just surprised that he said so little, presumably to keep his powder dry. Presumably he doesn't have a lot to play with, but actually the market accepted it for now.
I think everybody understood the pressures he is under, and everyone has a good deal of faith that he will do the best that an economist can do and a central banker can do.
This time last year, of course, there was no formal announcement of quantitative easing 2 at Jackson Hole, but within a few weeks, it all appeared. Are you expecting that to happen again?
I think he will. I don't know how quickly he's going to act, but he will act if the next unemployment rate goes back up further, or if we have any other signs of weakening.
Do you think that's the major issue, unemployment in the US for now?
I think so, yes. That's clearly what's most on the voters' minds. And it is sapping the strength of the economy. You can't have 9 to 10% of the people jobless and have a healthy and growing economy.
What about the other issue of this double-dip recession, potentially both in the US and then possibly with global ramifications? We are, as a whole, getting much more leveraged around the globe. To what extent is this playing into a larger risk of a double-dip recession?
Well, for the whole world, there's a problem. It's a problem you could deal with a bit of inflation, because that weakens the leveraging. And we have to really think carefully if we're going to keep high rates of unemployment. That is going to make the whole world much worse off.
So you actually think Ben Bernanke might well act, because I noticed that Fitch has just looked at some stress tests if a US double-dip recession occurs, and it's showing that China's growth will actually drop by almost 3%, and that would be a dramatic slowdown for the rest of the world.
No, if we go into the double-dip, the whole world will feel it, and the Americans, we don't really know what the American people are going to react to that. There's already a lot of volatile politics and a lot of, I would say, nonsensible politics going on. And with a double-dip recession, the people are already losing faith in the future of the country. Who knows what would happen?
Finally, how do you see Europe playing into America's woes? I see, we had the German president last week stunning the country by accusing the ECB of going far beyond its mandate, and then overnight we've had Europe's Stability Fund director saying that hysteria is sweeping Germany.
I think Europe has not dealt with their banking crisis. The Americans haven't done a good job, but we did something with our banking crisis, and that Europe could be the thing that kicks off the double-dip recession. We know how the Latin Americans dealt with this. Argentina just basically quit having their peso linked to the US dollar.
And they defaulted and they moved on, and they're perfectly all right now.
Exactly right.
Right. Professor Freeman, I thank you very much for joining us. Love the hat.
Okay, thank you very much.